morning, class. It is April 29th. I hope you're having a really good day. It's a Wednesday, so we're going to get started with our lesson. Yes, I do know that last class on Monday we had a Cornell notes. We're going to continue that today, and I promise I'll switch it up as we go. There's just a few things we need to get done. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the war with Mexico. Now to do that, we are going to be using our Cornell notes. So we have our Mexican War Cornell notes section. I've already put in your lesson, our lesson crucial question. Just make sure you put in your first name, last name, your date, your period. And as you learned from last time, this will expand, this box will expand. So I've given you 3 pages worth. It will expand and get longer, which is fine. And we have our post-it note at the bottom answering the question. Now, as we go through this, let's go back to our PowerPoint. And I'm going to walk us through our PowerPoint. And I'm going to talk about it. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to press present. All right, here we go. The war with Mexico. Now our CQ is, how did the Mexican War open up new lands for America? So within this question, we're obviously going to be able to see that we went to war with Mexico, and in doing so, we gained more land. Now this is going to tie directly into Manifest Destiny, a lesson we had 2 lessons ago. So for fun, if you could pick any place in America to live, where would you pick? Now in your Cornell notes, you can have this question and put it down as your question, and you can tell me where you would like to live within the United States, and here is a map. You should be pretty familiar with this. It's just a fun question to kind of start things off. So, but before we start, were some key terms that we need to go over, and I'm going to go over them with you right now. One is union, the collection of states in America. United States of America is a union. Now, territory, an organized division of land that has not yet admitted as a state. Now we have a treaty, the formal end of a war contracted between those fighting. The next is succession, land given up by a country. And our next word is annex, to add or take control of. And another form of annex is called annexation, and we're going to talk about that as we move forward. Now, as we move forward, I am going to tell you how to turn some of these subtitles into questions, and I'm going to actually give you those verbally. So please pay attention. So our first is right here, troubles with Mexico. Now we can turn this one into a question. What were the troubles with Mexico? Can be our question. So in 1845, Congress admits Texas as a slave state to the U.S. So TX moving forward will be Texas. Mexico said Texas was theirs and viewed annexation as an act of war. Now again, annexation is our same word, and I'm going to go back right here, annex, to add or take control of. Texas and Mexico also argued over what the southern boundary of the state was. Southern, S stands for Southern. U.S. tried to offer Mexico $25 million for Texas and California and New Mexico, but they said, no dog, or prayer not. They weren't having it. The U.S. sent troops to guard the border, and Mexico attacked, so President asked Congress to declare war on Mexico. All right. Now I'm going to give possible bonus points if you can tell me the president that was involved during this time. And if you don't know, I'm going to go over it in a minute. So here's a question for you. And this is what we would have done in class. I would have asked this question. Should Mexico have accepted America's offer of $25 million for Texas? We know that the United States got the Louisiana Purchase for about $14 million, which is quite a large territory, and that's almost double what they're asking for Texas. Should Mexico have taken it? What's your opinion on this? Jot it down, answer that question. So capturing New Mexico and California is our title right here. So we can say, turn this into a question is, how was New Mexico and California captured? So, American troops marched into New Mexico and captured the state without firing a single shot. Meanwhile, in California, Americans were led by John C. Fremont. That name should sound familiar. We do have a city called Fremont. Rebelled against Mexico in the Bear Flag Revolt. They declared California independent of Mexico. The American troops from New Mexico joined forces with Fremont and his men and controlled all of California within a few short weeks. The invasion of Mexico. We can turn this into a very simple question is, how was Mexico invaded? The defeat of Mexico provided far more difficult than what happened in New Mexico and California, because we know there wasn't really a shot fired for California. So U.S. forces invaded Mexico in two different directions. One group attacked from the south from Texas, and the second group attacked South Mexico and battled towards its capital. Despite fierce fighting from Mexican army, Mexico City fell to the Americans on September of 1847. Here's a really weird, strange fact that I'm going to read to you, all right? So, this general Santa Anna lost his leg in battle in 1842. He held a funeral for his severed limb, which is really weird. 2 years later, an angry mob broke the urn the leg was kept in and threw the leg away like it was garbage. A loyal soldier rescued the leg and hid it. He hid it for 30 years. That soldier visited Santa Anna and returned his leg to him. Now, Santa Anna's fake leg was captured by the American soldiers during the Mexican-American War. It's now in a museum at Camp Lincoln in Illinois. Really weird, eh? Interesting but strange fact. So we have the Mexican secession. What was the Mexican secession? Or we can say, how did Mexico succeed? So, on February 2nd, 1848, the war officially ended with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. In this treaty, Mexico recognized Texas as part of the U.S. Mexico gave up the vast region known as the Mexican Secession. So that included New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and California. Was about 1/4 of the Mexico land at the time. So it shows you how vast it is. U.S. agreed to pay Mexico $15 million. Now, they originally offered $25 million. Now they're offering $15 million. U.S. promised also to protect the 80,000 Mexicans living in the new American land. After a last bit of territory was purchased in 1853, the borders of the continental U.S. were set from sea to shining sea. Now, here's another map. We're going to circle here on the map that represents the land America got from Mexico as a result of the Mexican War. So we have California, Nevada, Utah, coming through New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas. Now, why it matters now? We can just use that as our question. Why does this matter now? Well, here we go. The Mexicans living in the new U.S. land made important contributions to our culture and our country. Many unfair laws were passed that targeted the Mexicans living in these areas despite Americans' promise to protect them, creating a lasting legacy of Americans being somehow superior to Mexico. We conquered them. Some today get upset about and complain about the Mexican population living in the Southwest states. Ironic because they lived here first. So here's a little cartoon that you can look over. So how closely has America honored its promise to protect the citizens of Mexican descent living in the United States? I would like you guys to please answer this question. That's going to conclude our PowerPoint. So I'm going to exit out of here. So as you go, you're going to put, again, those subheadings that I turned into questions for you right here. Give me your information here, and it will expand. And as we get down to here, your post-it note is, how did the Mexican War open up new lands for Americans? Your answer will go here. All right. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email or a remind text or ask for Google Meets, or ask me any of those questions that I'm holding my open meetings. So again, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, I'm doing kind of an open door policy where I'm going to have a Google Meet. It's 100% optional, which means you don't have to go. All right. It's just if you have questions and you want to talk. All right. So if you have any questions, let me know. And this will be due. I'm going to give you another 2 days to work on this, but if you need more time, it's okay as long as it's turned in by Sunday. All right, guys? So let me know if you have any questions. Okay? You guys are all amazing, and I miss you dearly. See ya.